Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. Samantha, our producers here. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
So on Zoom with us right now, he's performing at the Dr. Phillips, December 11th. You can get your tickets now.
Is this a homecoming show? Is this you're coming back to your hometown? Do you claim Orlando is hometown?
Unfortunately, I do. No, I'm just kidding. I live like 2 blocks away from the Dr. Phillips Center, so I'm just gonna walk to my show.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's also how you get stinking rich being a entertaining nurse too, is you'll walk to your show.
On Zoom with us, Nurse Blake. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks, guys. I typically don't like mornings, but for both of you, of course.
We appreciate that. We probably thought you would have done that for Sam, not us, but we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us a little bit about basically what you've created, which is a gigantic nurse business.
Engaged community of followers, and that probably not all of them are nurses, but a lot of them. So let's go back to when you realized that there was something here and that there was a community that you were building, and now that it could be something.
How did your social media persona sort of come about?
Yeah, so I've been a nurse 9 years. I actually went to school at UCF, so the University of Central Florida.
Woo-woo!
Yeah, both of us graduated.
We are both UCF graduates as well.
Go Knights, go Knights.
Yeah.
See, you don't even have to be that smart to get in. Just look
Absolutely.
Well, I got it in
Get 'em, Blake.
In 2000, it was basically a community college.
Blake's gonna know.
When I got accepted to UCF, people were like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, everybody was going to FSU."
Blake's
and
gonna know that the degree that I got, I
UM.
believe some people have whispered it's called the Culpepper because I got an interdisciplinary studies degree, which is I don't even know what it is.
So fancy, so fancy.
Yeah. I don't even know what it is. So were you on social media and talking about sort of your journey of nursing school even before you were a nurse?
No, really, it started afterwards. So about 4 years into my nursing career, so it's about 2017, I was like, I had my first panic attack after I left work one day, and it was like awful. I thought I was like gonna die. And I realized it was just a panic attack. And it was really from just the burnout and stress that I was facing working in an ICU. And I'm like, I need like an outlet to like share all these crazy stories. And in May of 2017, I posted my first video, which was like a silly video for like my 300 friends and family. And I guess nothing was going on in the news that day because it just went viral. And that's how viruses spread.
Yeah, exactly.
From person to person.
Exactly.
And ever since then, I've just kept making content, and I was invited to do Nurse Night at the Red Sox game, at a baseball game, and at Fenway Park. And there were over like 9,000 nurses that came out for Nurse Night that I hosted. It was like the largest event in Fenway Park history. And I said, you know what, like nurses want to come out, like maybe I should do like a little inspirational talk. So then I started doing like these small inspirational talks in like 2019, and I started with 5 of them. And now I'm doing like 190-minute comedy shows around the country this fall. So
yeah, I noticed.
It's
like
wild.
It's crazy that on the bio, and this is so impressive, that it says internationally touring comedian, nurse. It's like nurse. Yeah. We had to move nurse down. That is so crazy, man. That's awesome. So awesome.
Well, okay, I've got a bunch of questions for you.
Yeah.
The first one is, how did you go about building your stage show or your live show?
Sure.
And what you thought that was even going to be? Because obviously you started off as a nurse, you built the social media following, and then you realize, and we're familiar with this just because we kind of went kind of backwards, where we started in like mainstream media and then went into podcasting and understood about building communities and influencing people and
how
what that
important
means.
they can be. Sure.
And so how'd you build the stage show? I'm curious about that.
So I've been invited, like as Nurse Blake, since I've been doing this for 5 years. I was invited to speak at like all these nursing conferences and nursing schools.
Yeah.
And nursing conferences are typically pretty boring. Like they're super basic. They're just in these boring conference centers, and they would have me talk for 60 minutes. And I'm like, you know what? I want to create like a better environment. Like I'm going to put music and audio and
Yeah.
throw some jokes in there that I make from my videos. And I realized like people want to laugh, like no matter what nurse they are, how old they are, they just want to kind of laugh about our profession. So I line up my show in 3 acts, and I've toured with my Call Light tour, my PTO comedy tour, and now my Shock Advice tour. So I've had 3 tours.
Congratulations.
Over the past few
That's
years.
awesome.
Thank you. And I build it into 3 acts. So it's me for 90 minutes. So it's a one-man show in 90 minutes. It's a mix of like stand-up, bits, skits, video. So it's more like, it's not so much a stand-up show.
It's like a one-man
like
show.
Stand-up comedy. It's like
Yeah.
a one-man
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any?
Yeah, of course. And then that's the well, obviously Nurse Blake is super intelligent with everything he does, but
Yeah.
but of course, like we talk to stand-ups all the time, and sometimes the old school stand-ups think that if you're on stage and you're bringing an audience that you have to do stand-up, and they're like, how do you
Punchline.
how do you
Right.
do a 45-minute stand-up routine if you don't have that much, if you don't have 10 years of experience
Right.
on the road? And then you're like, it doesn't matter. You're bringing all your audience that listen to you and
Yeah.
follow you, and then just make a show that they want to see.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do a 45-minute traditional stand-up.
Yeah, and you don't have to cover every topic.
just talk to
Cover-
them.
Cover
No.
what they want to hear.
Exactly.
Right? Like they're the. I'm assuming that a huge chunk of the people you have probably aren't all nurses, but I'd say that a lot of the people you get are probably a lot of first responders too.
Or
right?
like-minded.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or like-minded,
Yeah.
exactly. So like feed them what they came to see, and you're also at the best venue in our city.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah.
argument.
Beautiful.
True.
Yeah, you can't even argue about what he's bringing to the table because he's at our greatest venue.
So
That's so cool, by the way, dude.
So, okay, speaking of
Thank
that leads me into my next question, Nurse Blake. And so I'm curious to, all right, I see, because like I said, we've
Yeah.
kind of built a business beyond, like around what you're doing, and you're doing it on a way grander scale than we have. But so because of that, I'm looking at that, you're doing the Dr. Phillips Center, one of the biggest venues in Orlando, as you know, and
We only did an outside show. They wouldn't even let us in.
I know.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Yeah, we're out on
We're
the,
not that big.
Yeah, we're on the front yard
We're not-
festival.
Yeah.
We're-
Dr. Phillips was literally standing there
And
with
they,
his
put
arms
us, and they put us in
crossed.
cages. We couldn't even talk to
He's
each
like,
other.
go to the back. So anyway, and then your followers are listed, right? Like that's the cool thing about social media is like we see everybody's quote unquote media power, right?
Yeah.
It's
right
right there.
there.
The numbers
There.
underneath. Anyway, with the amount of engagement and everything you have, like I've done the math, and this is a gigantic business that you've built for yourself. A gigantic media company, a gigantic following that is super lucrative.
powerful.
So how do you not just do this and not do nursing anymore?
Right,
because
right. Right.
as we all know, nurses don't get paid as much as they should.
Correct.
So, and I know what this company makes, and I'm just, like I said, I put you in the multi-millions at this
Oh,
point.
yeah.
And then it's, so
Also, kudos to you for doing a world tour of basically all the places I would want to visit. I'm like, this guy's a genius.
so
He's a genius.
how do you keep practicing nursing?
No, so that's a good question. So on top of my comedy tour, I also run one of the largest nursing conferences, which is called NurseCon at Sea. So I host a nursing conference on a cruise ship. I have the whole cruise ship, about 4,000 nurses. I have about 90 staff that I manage. From
He's our
educators,
smartest guest.
dancers, entertainers, and we do a whole week of just education and sick parties for nurses.
It's just so
And
cool, man.
Well,
it's like
speaking of that, we've done cruises ourselves,
Yep.
and I've done the math on the
Nobody
whole boat.
learned anything.
No one learned anything.
And that is lucrative as well.
Yeah.
So you are doing, like
your
I said, Nurse
parents should
Blake.
be so proud of you. My God, Blake.
I'm seeing the media empire you're building, and it
Oh my
is
gosh, you guys.
you-
Look what I just came out with. It hits mailboxes next week. My magazine!
Ah.
Come on, the
Nurse
magazine.
Blake magazine.
What do you not do?
You got
Here's
some
the children's
advertisers
book. Have
in
you
there?
seen the children's book? The children's book is
My
great.
God.
Yeah, I got a wine, I got a nursing shoe.
Okay,
that I
all right,
just
yeah.
dropped.
Like I said, multi-millions. how do you continue to be a nurse?
I honestly, when people say like, "Are you an entrepreneur or business person?" I don't even really consider myself that. I number one consider myself a nurse and entertainer, and as
crazy.
long as nurses will come out and enjoy my stuff, I am more than happy to visit as many cities as possible, host these nursing conferences. And then one day when people say, we don't want to see you anymore, or we don't want the cruise anymore, I'm going to be like, oh, I get to have a break, and I'll take a nice break.
Back to wiping butts.
Well, Nurse Blake,
back to wiping butts.
Yeah, let me just I'll predict something. You'll won't have to go back to wiping butts because
You'll have a castle somewhere in Europe.
Because it's interesting because and this is real talk. We got into running our own small media company
because of the independence,
a decade ago,
and that's
right?
why I love seeing this go so well.
And then we had that thought at the beginning too, like, well, if it all ends, we could all decide. But then as more years go by, you realize, and what I realized, Nurse Blake, is as long as you want to do this, it is never going to end abruptly. You may have a plateau eventually, and then 20 years from now, you'll have less listeners than maybe you did at the beginning. But you could do this for the rest of your life and the rest of your career.
What's the hardest part? Is it finding enough time to do the book, the magazine, the NurseCon?
Tour,
like, how do you?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously you have an assistant or a partner or somebody that helps you. Like, how do you?
You must have a whole crew.
And
at
you're
this
young.
point.
He's young. He can do this. So, what's the hardest part?
Yeah, so I live off working, so I love working on projects, numerous projects.
Nice.
I have a great team, so I do have a little office north of Orlando in Lake Mary.
Oh, cool.
I have about 9 full-time staff that help me run the NurseCon at Sea conference, because that's a huge project on its own. And then I have like a lot of nurses that I contract with to do things like help me write the magazine or help me work on these little projects. So I've been lucky enough to work with nurses in like different capacities from all over that help on my project. So I think it's all about time management and like finding the right people. But once you do, you could get so much done.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you're building it right, and it's super impressive what you've done and what you're doing. And like I said, I see people building their business, their small. I call it like a mom and pop media company, because like you see these clusters of all these popping up everywhere, and people making money for themselves and not having to answer to anybody and not have to working with a giant corporation, and you could do what you want to do, and that's the best, right? It's like you don't have to work for some other media company that's putting you on the road making 80% of what you know what I'm saying, like that kind of thing. It's like you're doing whatever you want to do.
And you weren't famous, but now you are. Has this afforded you the ability to meet someone famous that you've wanted to meet?
Y'all, I have not met anyone famous.
Really?
What?
I haven't no one famous on my phone. No. Like,
because
honestly,
I saw you
like,
naturally. Like, I saw you would come up in my algorithm and I'd say, oh, that's cool. And then it would keep going, and then you'd get a little bigger, and I'd see more videos, and then I started seeing everything, and then I'm like, oh my God, this guy's like super successful. So I'm like, of course you know some people.
Well, what's fame? Nurse Blake is famous.
Yeah,
you're
right. You're right.
You're
people want to meet him. You're right.
Well, you're talking about traditional like actor, and they're
you're right. I'm thinking as an old man.
They're in a different machine too. It's like all these influencers that are, if you like, Nurse Blake has more followers than a lot of actors.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be considered like, oh, this person's been in a Marvel movie. He's famous. Like Nurse Blake has more influence than
nobody knows who those people are, but they know who
you guys are. Like, I love this. Like, this is like great. Like this whole hype up. You guys are like,
look,
man.
we are obsessed with small businesses, and you are effectively a one-man or 9-person small business, and you're also an Orlando guy, and we're Orlando guys, so. When like this morning when I knew you were coming on, I started geeking out a little bit because like you're a success story, right? Like regardless of like I'm not into nursing stuff, but I'm into success stories. So when I see you, I'm like, it's so cool that you've created something that's just weird. It's a weird job, man.
So it's weird, in a good way.
Yeah,
in a good way.
exactly.
And let me tell you, my audience is unlike anything else, because when you come to my comedy shows, like. When I play a video for the first time, they're like, oh, this is going to be like a TED Talk, you know? And then they hear my audience and they are so loud and ready for the best night. They come like regular like comedy shows, you'll have like groups of like 2, like a lot of couples, or like 3. My like people come in groups of 20. They take party buses, like they pregame at dinners. People take off work. Like it's a huge event for them to get together with their coworkers. You got moms taking their nursing student sons to my show. So it's
Right.
all different ages, and it is just a freaking party. So if it wasn't for my audience being like so cool, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And with NurseCon at Sea, like, it's like people have come on all 4 of my cruises now. Like, it's just so crazy and so cool, the community that's been able to build even just around me. Like, people that come on NurseCon at Sea, they have their own like inside jokes and they hide ducks. Like, I'm like, what even is that?
Right.
You know, even though I created it, they have these own little communities surrounding, you know, other projects that I do or events that I put on for them. So it's so cool to see that own community grow, even really outside of me in a way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you mentioned inside jokes, and you realize like you're talking to your own audience. They're gonna like all the jokes that you've made throughout the years, and they're gonna find it more funny
Than
even,
anyone.
Even if like a person listened for the first time, they're like, "What? I don't even understand what's happening." But your audience is laughing their ass off. They love the inside stuff. So let's speak about that.
Also,
like,
safest cruise to ever be on is NurseCon at Sea.
That's
Right?
100%. I'll say, like, if you have an emergency on December 11th in Orlando, you ain't gonna want to go to the hospital. Just have the ambulance take you to the Dr. Phillips Center. All the nurses will be there.
And it's
I'm like,
true-
if y'all
it's
are
true.
here, who's at the hospital?
It's true too, because like I'm a hypochondriac, and as a hypochondriac, I love my nurses. Nurses are my guy. Those are my guys.
So-
The doctors
Yeah.
not so much, but the nurses, they put me at ease.
We got you. We got you, Dan.
I love my nurses.
So Blake, I'm curious because your audience consists of a lot of nurses. Do you have to watch yourself that the information you're talking about or whatever that is
a good question.
is technically correct? Because
Because there is an element of everything you do is dead serious because you're a nurse.
Right.
And then so I bet they call you out on a lot of like you say something wrong. It's funny too because
I never thought about that. Yeah.
like you're just a lot of times you're openly talking. You're like and so you misspeak. Everybody does it, but now everybody's hanging on every word and like so you're like, oh, that's not right. You got the milliliters wrong.
Oh, they will call me out if I like, especially because I'm from like the Florida public school system. Like I don't always get my words right or my math.
Right.
So whenever I'm doing a show or something and I say something wrong, it's just like they just all come at me. But it's the funniest thing ever. Like I don't mind if it happens because I just kind of live for it. But yeah, I mean, everything I do is for entertainment purposes only, even though I'm a licensed registered nurse.
Right.
It is a comedy show. All
The
my stories
disclaimer.
are true.
Gotta give the
but
disclaimer,
Even
yeah.
if you're not in healthcare, I am going to break down everything for you during my show. Like, for example, this.
Uh-oh. Wait, what? I know what that is.
So what? So
Is that a water bottle
will
for a
talk about
hamster?
this. This is a Pure Wick. And I am going to talk about this in my new show. And if you don't know about it, don't worry, because I will explain everything this little thing does during my comedy.
There you go. I think I've seen one of those very intimately.
Nurse Blake, so I've got
Not intimately.
Okay. Maybe I haven't. Well, it looks like something I've seen intimately.
Oh.
I've got a really good friend that's a nurse, and I constantly interview her about
You won't
being a
leave her
nurse
alone.
because I'm fascinated with people's jobs and like the day to day of what they deal with.
It's one of the most intimate jobs.
And you get desensitized to it. And she'll tell me, she's like, I'm desensitized to the most disgusting things you could possibly imagine.
It's like a dental hygienist. They've seen it all in there.
and
Seen it all.
and the worst possible things that like if someone, you're caring for someone and
You're
like
seeing them
cleaning
also
them.
at their lowest point.
And also, no one ever talks about this, but a lot of people that go to the hospital are severely mentally ill. And it's just a
We
fact.
get a lot. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of confused unfortunates.
And then homeless, and then they
Yes.
they're in and out. It's a revolving door. Of the cops don't have anywhere to take them, so they drop them off
And
at
then
the
you
hospital.
have to sprinkle on the obvious. The obvious is doo-doo and pee-pee.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
sprinkle on the obvious.
and then it's sad having to deal with it because they're just going to be back again, and then you're just and it's a lot of it is social work that does it. And you talk about
that's
that.
why bedside manner is important,
Yeah,
right?
so it's not just treating someone.
Yeah.
It's like trying to like possibly give them the tools to help themselves so they don't end up back.
Yes.
It's better for yourself, actually, because you're.
Tom, you're so smart, Tom. I love that. You're like a
don't
social
tell him that.
worker.
No, I knew.
They call him
Yes.
that. They call him the Castleberry social worker.
All this buttering up, Nurse Blake, was just for you to call me smart one time.
I love it. You're smart.
All calculated.
Yes.
He's also talking to you like you're a child. So
Yeah.
That's fine.
Hey,
That's fine.
Good job, Tom.
I thought
Hey,
You're so
That's
smart.
all
my
I don't.
You'll
That's all
take it. You'll take it.
I'll take whatever I get. Well, you pat me on my head. You're like, you
that's
did
my
it.
bedside manner.
Good
That's
boy.
my bedside manner to you, Tom.
December 11th at the
Yes.
Dr. Phillips Center. Get your tickets. Go in a big group. Get a party bus. Do the big pre-party out there. Do you wear scrubs when you go?
No, we do not want to be in those anymore.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
We
you
hang
can,
our
like,
scrubs
You
up.
dress to the 10,000s or something.
We're
you
gonna
know?
look hot.
Yeah,
hot
yeah.
nurses.
Yeah.
I was looking at your website at your merch, and I'm surprised you don't have custom scrubs.
You know what? That is a 5-year goal. That's another
Okay.
project.
There you go.
So
It's coming.
I got you, Sam. If you know
All
what you
right.
want, we'll
All right.
come next. Launch some scrubs.
Custom scrubs. One more question.
I got another question. Do you stay away from polarizing things? Like we've done that throughout our careers. Like it seems better for us to stay away from polarizing topics
we
because
did the one.
everybody
We do-
gets mad
we
one
do
way or the other.
mayonnaise and Miracle Whip. Mayonnaise and Miracle Whip. That's the only one we'll do.
It's funny because old school media used to love polarizing topics because it get people to listen and that would get them angry or happy, and now it's like, I don't know, there's too much stuff out there, and there's probably other nurses starting their own podcasts and other social media that are probably
aggressively conservative nurses.
Of course. No, they're copying what, and then you all of a sudden you get the extreme right wing nurse and the left wing nurse and the anti-vax nurse and then there's micro.
I did look this morning, and there are some copycats out there. You're aware of that, right?
Yeah, there's
it's okay.
Yeah.
everybody's
We don't give any breath to negativity or copycats. I typically stay away from anything negative. If there is anything polarizing, I think a lot of like the polarizing jokes are like super easy jokes that can make anyone laugh. So I try to be a little more smart and creative with my content.
Yeah.
But I am pushing the bounds a little bit. My new tour is called Shock Advice, so I'm going to be roast a lot of people and a lot of things. So it's funny to see how my comedy's kind of flowed throughout the years.
Sure.
And it is whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm feeling in the moment or in the time. So, but most of the time, probably just like you guys, I like to stay away from polarizing topics.
Yeah. I mean, because we have nurses.
It doesn't seem to do you any good.
No.
Like the people that
it's like,
you're not going to change their mind at the comedy show.
and people don't want to hear
right.
it.
Yeah.
I think people
Right.
are tired of the fighting. They're tired and they want an escape. They want a fun Nurse Blake show that everybody's positive or having a good time.
Everyone I know, you and Sam and Nurse Blake included, everyone I know disagrees with me on almost everything. It's fine. I don't care. I don't care. It's fine. I disagree with everybody.
Enjoy your life.
I just, But hey, thank you for the time. And if you're ever, since you are in Orlando, we'd love to have you in, one day. And it'd be really cool to chat with you.
Our studio's in Baldwin Park, so it's right up the road from you.
I can I'll come and visit next time.
Yeah, get on a Lime scooter and
It's
hop on over.
clean. It's clean too. We have a nice bathroom. We have a cleaning lady.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. And if you guys are available and want to come to my show, I will let you inside the Dr.
Hey!
Phillips.
All right.
Finally.
Inside.
No, Dr. Phillips will be standing there with his arm crossed. He's like, not you guys again. Get to the back. All right, man. Take it easy, dude.
Yeah, we'll see you
Have a
soon.
great day.
You
You
too.
too.
Take
Bye.
care. That is Nurse Blake live from his compound in Lake Mary. My God. That dude's doing it right.
Yeah. It's you if you find a super engaged demographic of that many people. I mean, when I'm this guy,
I'm gonna do a stand-up show about podcasters.
I mean, it would work. It would work if you could find enough.
too
Yeah,
much.
but they'd all try and take over the show. You know these
You know
guys.
who's doing a
There's too many.
variation of this, but it's just kind of reminds me of Dylan Siebold doing his teacher-specific comedy.
Yeah.
You know, like I like that. I mean, like,
Yeah.
and it's cool if you can find something that hits. And this guy, who would have known that he could like effectively weaponize all the nurses, right? Because you forget about them, and they have a tough ass job.
but it's more of like-minded. Like
they just
it's
want to
like,
belong to
it doesn't necessarily. It's because he's a nurse. He has this like-minded experiences or common experiences that people can relate to, and that's it. And
Best
then
practices.
and there's probably a huge percentage of his audience aren't even nurses, but they're like-minded in that, or there's some way that they relate to his personality. I was dancing around the whole. I was asking him like, how the hell do you still practice nursing and run this small media empire that you're doing? Because this, we know how long it's
I'd love to sit down with that guy. Like
it's a
I don't know if this
50-hour-a-week job and I know he's got 9 full-time employees, but they're just running the cruise.
That doesn't even seem like a lot.
No, it doesn't. But, you got all this other stuff, and you're doing this tour and stuff. Like, you don't have time to practice.
I would
nursing.
love to. I don't know if this is entertaining to anybody but the three of us, and maybe even you and I. I'd love to just give me a day. Let me see what you do.
Job shadow, yeah.
Yeah,
doing the same-
I won't say anything. I'll just watch you.
Yeah, let me go to your warehouse
meetings
and see
after,
all
merch
of your
meetings,
merch. Yeah,
magazine
yeah.
meetings.
You and your partner are picking out what's
Dude,
what
he's doing
area.
this. He's doing the same thing we are.
It's cool though.
It's the same thing.
It's
I mean, it's on a grander scale, and then you're introducing live shows, but it's the same thing. I mean, you have this big audience, and you're trying to entertain them and create content for them and do events.
a magazine. That's a hard one. That's a hard one.
Yeah, and I'm sure
for
there's
him.
a digital version of it or whatever. I just don't know how the hell you choose. You'd have to force yourself.
Good. He probably sells the magazines to doctors' offices, right?
Yeah. I'm
Oh
sure
my
there's a
God,
reason
Sam,
for a
that is
magazine.
it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
genius.
In the waiting rooms and stuff.
And then you get
Yeah.
in big with Orlando Health, and then you get in big with Advent Health, and then you get
he
in
has his
big
own
with them
Pinot
across.
Grigio.
You know how much Advent Health pays for advertising? They'll drop $25,000 a year to have an ad in his no problem. You know what I'm saying? Like
we need a magazine.
we don't need a
No, I'm
magazine.
joking.
But I don't see how you choose or you even go back to doing any sort of nurse work.
He won't.
I mean,
He won't.
because
Or
it's
maybe he feels like he has to
Well, that's what I'm
because
saying.
that's the character, right?
well, you have to keep up because what
Yeah.
if 10 years you haven't seen a patient in 10 years and you're talking
Yeah.
about stuff.
I don't know where the beehole is anymore.
No, well, you're just talking about antiquated
Sir,
things.
that's my mouth. I'm sorry. I thought that was your bee.
Your whole audience is practicing nurses,
Yeah.
and you
We
haven't
use
practiced
lasers
nurse-
now. Lasers? I use a wooden
Yeah, yeah.
tongue depressor.
Yeah. So
How can you forget where the beehole is?
it would be like us talking to people still in terrestrial radio. Like
We do. We do talk to people on terrestrial radio.
No, but I'm saying
I saw Super Dave yesterday at Buffalo Wild Wings.
How's he doing?
He's doing great.
Good.
like what we knew was 10 years ago. We don't know what the hell goes on now.
You know what?
Yeah,
I
but
gotta-
he consults with people that are still in nursing.
I know. Yeah,
I gotta be
Well, you have
honest.
to keep up with it.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I did not see Super Dave yesterday. at Buffalo
Oh,
Wild
you
Wings.
liar.
I said that to you guys to make you think I was cool.
It is interesting how valuable when you get a very specific demographic all together.
It's liquid.
Because-
it's just like it's.
Because people,
And
if
I
you're
know
like,
the people
I got-
he's talking about. It's almost like, you know what I would like to do is I'd almost like to copy everything he's doing with a young, because he's also, everything factors in, and I don't mean to talk about him like he's a piece of meat, but let's just talk about it, right? It doesn't hurt that he's an incredibly good-looking young
yeah.
guy, right?
Right.
So if I could find like an incredibly good-looking young girl or guy veterinarian, like vet tech,
Yeah,
right? I could do the same thing where I have this young vet tech do snippets on TikTok and Instagram about the everyday perils of being a vet tech.
Oh, yeah.
And,
It's already happening, I'm
and
sure,
it is. A canine and feline life, right? And the food this, the food that, frontline this, and the heart guard, yada yada, and laugh. And then they're good looking and perfect storm, and all the vet techs want to come to the
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you do
yeah.
your comedy, and then you do the tour, and your vet tech Sally.
Are they addicted to the grind? Because you need that. Because Nurse Blake.
No, it's
is,
got to be
you
a
know.
perfect storm.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a one of one. He's a
Well,
one of one.
I hope he just stacks his money and retires early.
He
Yeah, well,
could,
but
he's
he's
young.
still so
How
young.
young
He's
is
like
he? What is-
32.
Yeah, he's like a baby.
But why retire? You were leaving money on the table. Like you're just
Yeah,
like
but if you stack enough money, who cares?
Well,
just
You
travel
can do
the
the
world.
you can do the Ricky
yeah,
Williams.
but when your
Bye-bye.
money, you don't want
Yeah.
you need to. You always want more. You want to be you like.
That's no. You always want more.
No, if you
Yeah,
look,
everybody's different.
No.
You could either
Yeah.
get a bunch and cash out, or you could
I wanna
say,
cash
"Hey, there's
out.
money on
Yeah.
the table. I'm going to keep going."
well, I'm sure I could downsize everything I have and live and not work again. Probably, if I sold everything and then got a smaller place out
Yeah.
how do you want to live?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
How do you want it?
And then, well,
How do you feel?
and
Growing up as an inward in the cash game,
and
As I'm saying, he's working so hard. If
living
he
in the
doesn't,
fast lane.
he doesn't take a break, he's gonna burn out.
but he's working as hard as he wants to. He's
Right
in
now,
charge. He's in
yeah.
charge of that himself. He's working hard because he wants to, because he's a grinder.
Well,
He doesn't work for anybody. He works for himself.
Look, not to harp
So
on this
he-
anymore, but I'll throw one other thing out there. He's doing it perfectly because in the background he's got NurseCon at sea, right? So when he decides that he doesn't want to do the dumb videos anymore, or get the comments from people saying, "Oh, you look like this," or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just doing the NurseCon, and that's still such a great idea of giving nurses something to do at sea that's regarded as
And they have the classes.
yeah, they can
on
take
there.
the classes
yeah.
on there, so it's worthwhile, but they
educational
also
and
have fun.
yeah.
This guy's just it's just
That-
genius.
That's
Just-
making him $250,000
or
profit.
more.
You know what I'm saying? Like just that. And the tour, Dr. Phillips, it's the Disney Theater, right?
Yeah, I think he is doing Disney.
I'd have to see which
He-
theater.
I
it
don't
is,
maybe
think
but
he's
making-
doing the Pew. I think he's doing the Disney.
Well,
30.
there's 4 different theaters in there, guys.
Yeah.
You could be making $30K.
Yeah.
It's
It's just impressive. We'll get him in here. Like,
one night. I don't know.
We'll reach back out, man. I'm
Merch. You can be. I mean, I've talked to other bigger podcasters. You get into this next echelon level of selling merch
he's
and stuff
there,
like
he's
that,
there.
and then all of a sudden you're selling like, I
Oh my
sold.
God, you're selling $35 bottles of Pinot Grigio.
Yeah,
just,
the Walt Disney Theater.
oh, it's just flying out the door, man.
I'm selling $4,800 a day in merch.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm saying
Yeah.
when you get to the next,
Right,
you're
right.
like, whoa. You're like, what? And you're like, yeah, I'm doing 1.2 million a year in merch.
You got $30K for the show, and you did $15K in merch.
I'm doing $1 million on the tour. I'm doing $500,000 with the cruise and stuff. Like you have 500,000 of salary or whatever, but whatever, what I'm saying is just like you start making millions of dollars and you just grow this business. He wants to do it, right?
Yeah.
He's the only decisions that are being made are through him. So I imagine
Pretty
and
damn
so
cool, man.
Why would he ever stop? Just
Yeah.
if you could slow down, but you're a young man,
No
you
need.
could do this for 20 more years before you wanted to slow down.
Let's finish up with a couple of voicemail messages, my friend.
Yeah.
Because that was cool. We'll get him back in here. I'd be like, we'll get him and maybe some of his staff. We'll ask if we can get some of his people in here because the business aspect of it is fascinating.
He's not even scratching at the advertising potential, because there's all this other money being
take a
made.
peek at that magazine. He may be.
He needs 10 more employees to even realize
be
his
doing
true, revenue.
He's doing it. Here we go. Try this one.
Hey guys, on the BDM show, you were talking about the Qualified Captain Instagram account, and they do not post fake videos. Even though the account's rooted in making fun of these idiots on boats, it's actually for boater safety. They sell boater safety kits, like trauma kits. I believe they offer like boater safety courses. They promote like don't let your kids bow ride on the boat, because that's what happens is when you take the boat out of gear and then your kid falls off the front of the boat and then you run them over and kill your own child. So
Does that
they
happen?
will actually shame people that post stupid stuff like irresponsibly.
Does that? I mean, look, I'm
sure
please
it
don't
has.
shame me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not asking that. I'm not. I don't think I'm a.
yeah.
I've been around boats. You're not supposed to have kids riding on the front.
No, well, on the very front, like obviously, like if you have a
I've done that ever. I've never heard that.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about like sitting where
You
where
dangle
have
your
the anchor.
legs. I usually put the red and green light between my genitals and I dangle my
Yeah,
legs over.
Not when you're moving. No, that's
I've
they
done
with that
every year I've been alive.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it if you're going slow. It's a manatee zone. Get out
and
there.
then so you fall in.
If you
and
fall
then
off,
just,
I'll put it in gear.
No, you fall in and you just go to the side. You don't run your kid over.
Yeah. Is that what they do?
Do you?
Yeah,
You run your kid over? I've never heard of
morons
that.
do,
I
yeah.
have never heard of that. I've heard of you getting run over in the back, but not falling off the front, and then it goes and it runs you over. Because normally the boat's going to push you and you go to the side.
Now, if if you're talking about a gigantic boat, maybe, but if you have a 25-foot center console boat or whatever, you're gonna run over by the outboard.
Get a lot of people yelling at me about it, but I've never.
Yeah. The prop will get you. And I remember a lot more people.
The prop will get you.
The prop is gonna get you.
I was thinking the same thing, Sam.
I remember multiple stories in the 80s of my mom and my family telling me about witnessing people being either almost killed or killed by boat props. And it used to happen a lot more, I think, than it does now. Like, I think
we could probably look up that number and prove that.
We see a qualified captain, and we're like, oh, there's a lot more idiots now. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I think there's less boat injuries.
Yeah, because
boats
there's
have gotten
more
safer.
knowledge.
Also, boats are going to get safer, right? They're going to put certain things in there.
There was a time, like people in the 80s where everybody was drunk and, taking huge chances, like running each other over, not following proper boating safety rules. People were getting run over snorkeling. They didn't have any,
a flag,
a dive flag out.
Maisie asked that naturally. Maisie asked, she goes, how do you find your boat when you're diving?
Oh, yeah, the boys ask that, too.
Yeah, it's funny how they kids naturally, they know.
They're intuitive, yeah.
They figure things out.
They don't know. That's why they're asking you.
Can we talk about
I don't know either. That's the thing, but I make up an answer.
Yeah, Kenny is in the bathroom doing his hair. The chat room is just roasting him. What's he doing?
Why?
The chat room is just roasting Kenny.
Did he go to the bathroom? A lot of people know he likes that yayo.
Yeah, really? The booger sugar?
Yeah, he's got to do it before he gets on here to hype himself up.
Couple lines of Peruvian marching candy.
Did Conor McGregor punch a mascot and the mascot went to the hospital?
Yes.
I thought that was fake.
I thought it was fake too, but then I
heard it was like around here, right?
But I heard a reporter ask Dana White on TikTok about it, and so that made me think, maybe it was real then. But when I saw the meme, I thought it was fake too. It's funny because we always just assume something ridiculous.
Well,
like
I watched the video.
But I guess the mascot or whoever's wearing the costume went to the hospital. At least some reporter asked Dana White that. And so how does that happen?
It was a staged fight, though, so he must have just accidentally hit
punched
him a little
too
hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the old, I work for this sports company, and Conor McGregor hit me in some planned promotion, and so now the first step is go to the hospital, right? Then you have to build
what did he do? He knocked out Bernie, I got the video here.
The Miami Heat mascot, and I guess...
Okay.
By the way, why would Conor McGregor agree to this? Like, you're a clown.
I guess this is like a joke thing that people do, according to Dana White, that fighters the practice of mascots taking punches from fighters doesn't seem like the brightest thing in the world.
Is this like a promotion? Is Conor McGregor
It's a publicity stunt.
Have a fight coming up?
He hasn't fought in forever. I think he's
don't
quasi-retired.
That's what I thought too. Well, why would he?
He just likes to be in the media.
He's in that new. Well, when does Roadhouse come out? Or
Don't
did it
know.
already come out?
No, I don't think it's come out
COVID stole
yet.
my brain, so now I'll say things. I'll be like, well, when does Walking Dead come out? I'll say things, and people will be like, well, that's been out 2 years, Dan.
Yeah.
So
second half of 2023. That comes
so
out.
maybe Roadhouse.
Is he in that too?
Yeah, he's the villain, I believe. He's the bad guy, and then Jake Gyllenhaal is the good guy. And Jake Gyllenhaal is playing like a rogue MMA fighter that leaves the game, I think, to go and be like security for the toughest rootin' and tootin' country bar you've ever seen.
Okay, yeah.
And in the county, they're running liquor, and the guy running liquor is Conor. I'm making all this up, but this is what I'm thinking will happen.
And that's why we saw all those Jake Gyllenhaal MMA scenes
and then,
in
of course,
social media.
Proper 12, the stupid whiskey will be in there.
In 2018, former world heavyweight boxing champion Deontay Wilder was invited to show his punching power on a hot dog mascot and reportedly broke the costume wearer's jaw.
Oh man.
Man.
Yeah, because
So this is like a thing people do.
I don't
Well,
know.
stop doing it.
Yeah, that's Dana White says it's dumb.
It's easy. Just stop doing it.
And he slaps his wife.
Yeah, that video came up on TikTok the other day. Just roll. Look, I'm not laughing at women. It's not funny if anybody gets hit.
She don't care.
But
I'm glad he's not.
The video came up, and I thought I started laughing.
She
I'm
must
what
like
is
it.
that?
Why she don't care,
What
right?
is that?
I'm just joking. But it's like, what the hell? You're trash people.
I wish I had a video of when
God
Crystal
damn it.
slapped you.
It wasn't just a trashy
I
thing
wish
to
I
do.
had video of Andrea throwing chapstick in my head.
I'm just, when I see things like this, I'm like, okay, the Miami Heat organization is worth a lot of money, and why?
No, you always say this. You're gonna be saying this until you're dead.
Well, this guy could sue the hell out of him, right?
Yeah, well, so would Live Nation, and all of the each monster truck is $300,000.
I know.
And they let you out
the
there doing
billion-dollar
the
corporation, yeah.
Again, you're gonna keep.
How does it happen?
Yeah, because it's gonna keep happening, and you're gonna keep asking it until you die.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's why. I mean, I get so mad about it because I don't understand.
Is the answer because people want it, and that's why it happens? They crave it.
Well, if I was this mascot, now maybe he's not going to do it, but all right, he went to the hospital, right? So that's the first thing, and then
nobody
stepped
in at all and said like, okay, hey, remember at halftime,
you need to wear
we're gonna
some
have
safety.
What's his name, Flame or
Bernie.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They
Bernie.
usually are a paid employee of the team.
Correct. They're not interns. It's not just somebody off the
So
street.
Conor McGregor does have a pain medication spray for injuries.
Oh, the cold spray.
And they're saying that it may have been like a.
He's like, spray your nose and it's better.
I guess after I punch you, you got to it's a
use my
ad
spray.
for the spray.
Okay, well,
So maybe this guy didn't even go to the damn hospital. I don't know.
It's
all publicity.
Oh man,
it could be, yeah. Or they planned a publicity stunt, and
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying it was a publicity stunt gone wrong.
And then, that is a lawsuit if the guy wants to, because then he can claim long-term damage from concussion. If because concussions are really hard to diagnose, you kind of just have to be a little confused.
Okay, hold on. It does say in this article that's in People Magazine, and I'm not saying People Magazine is great. I'm saying People Magazine is big, right? It's big. And remember what Sam said. And it says, they made a point of saying in this article, the man inside the mascot costume was taken to an area hospital, received pain medication, and released to go home.
That's what I'm saying.
Why say receive? Have you ever read in any report that Tom
they're not
Van
even naming an injury.
Yeah, nobody ever says, I went to the hospital, I received pain medication. That's BS. You're right.
BS.
This is BS.
Yeah,
this is all BS.
F you, Connor.
No.
All BS.
But I'm saying, I think it's the mascot going to sue the Heat
I don't
organization.
think so, because I don't think it's real.
It's not real.
That's what we're saying.
Whole thing's fake.
Okay.
The pain medication was the spray.
Yeah. It was all a commercial and it's a yellow bottle, black and yellow bottle. I've seen it. I've seen the
they don't
commercial.
he's not selling it to the hospital. Hospital gave him Advil.
We don't know. We don't even know if he went to the hospital. Is what we're saying.
He didn't go to the hospital. They mentioned
that
the
he
only
just had
reason they
pain
mentioned the pain
medication.
medication is because that's his company. It's
Well,
just
did
an
they
ad.
mention the company?
They did in the one that Sam has, but in this one they don't.
Okay. All right.
So that's what makes me think real news got onto it, right? People is considering themselves like real news. They got onto it, but it was just a publicity stunt for this. I forget what it's called, like Tonal or Total or
TLDR or something.
Yeah, it's like some spray. It's a yellow and black bottle. I've seen it. They play during the baseball games.
It's most likely everything's fake. All right. We will see you tomorrow.
All right. Where's that go?
Thursday 1 and 2.
What's up, Kenny?
What's up, dude? Sorry, we went along and then we were like,
we don't have any Thursday.
No, that'll be all of Thursday.
You guys know I used to work for an NBA franchise, and I could probably answer all of those questions.
Why didn't you come in here and scream?
I'm actually, polite.
How you doing?
Nobody else is. It's fine. But if you have actual knowledge, instead of just sitting next to me and people just randomly talking to me about nothing, that's not polite. But if you know what the hell we're talking about.
Was that 3 and 4 or 1 and 2?
1 and 2. We only have 1 and 2 for Thursday.
Oh, that's right. Idiot. Fucking idiot.
was adjusting my hair.
No, they were calling you out.
Don't be jealous, listeners, that you guys don't have a luscious head of hair like I do.
You do have a nice
To
head of hair.
adjust.
And I like the post. I always like your posts where you post a fresh haircut.
Always, man.
Where's Tom?
He's doing yayo in the bathroom.
He is.
Who says yayo in 2023?
I was gonna say that is definitely a 2005.
Aged term.
Yeah, my mic's not on. I think I just realized.
Yeah.
Oh, your mic's not on?
No, that's fine. I'm hearing myself, but like in
I'll turn
other.
it on.
No, that's fine. I love that Travis was just straight up like at the beer release, but watching UFC on his phone.
Yeah, he didn't want to be there.
I just felt bad. He kept getting like bothered by everyone. I was like, I just want to go up and shake his hand and say, hey, like acknowledge he's there. But then
That's
everyone
fine.
was just like blabbering on about nothing. He's trying to watch an undercard.
And then old Amanda Nunez retired.
So quiet in here.
Tom told us to shut up until we're on air.
Tom's like, shut up and get to work.
Save it for the show.
Answer our emails. Email back the fucking listeners, you cocksuckers. We need them to think that we fucking like them. Is that what you say?
Didn't your old
Listen,
Pretend to be Nurse Blake.
didn't your old boss used to always say save it for the show? He would never want to talk off air.
I do that to my husband.
Was not our boss.
You're the boss.
Well, you just don't want to
True,
talk to your
not our
husband.
boss. True, not our
Do
boss.
wanna
He's
talk to my
lovely.
husband.
He's a nice, lovely,
He is.
attractive.
But then we'll get into the conversation, and then we
Right.
ruin the whole thing.
Tom and I do that all the time. We did it yesterday.
When you work for a big media company, the host of the show is not your boss. Your boss
Company
is your
is.
boss.
Yeah, the company is.
Yeah, your direct manager is your boss. A lot of times, like they'll put together shows, like handpicked, put together personalities or whatever. Like they don't have any say.
I think that's what Jason Bailey, Buckethead's new show.
Yeah,
He was picked, she was picked, and then the guy was picked. They put it together, and it's seems to be working really well.
yeah. And then so it does. The host usually has extra say to the manager of what happens. It's like I'm sure when you work for the NFL, like the coach is the boss, but the owner's the boss.
Yeah.
So like if the coach doesn't like a player, he'll take that input into consideration. But if the owner wants you to keep Tyreek Hill and you don't like him, you're like, go fucking deal with it.
Yep.
Get to
Well, that
work.
was the whole Robert Kraft Belichick thing
Yeah,
with Garoppolo. Basically, it was, Belichick wanted to stick with Garoppolo, and Kraft is like, nope.
How weird is it that Garoppolo ends up in Vegas, right? And then fucking Brady all of a sudden becomes part owner, and now it looks like he is going to be cut from the team most likely because of his injury. That I don't even know why they. I don't know.
It's definitely not the case, but I would love if for some reason like Garoppolo embarrassed Brady at like a training camp 5-6 years ago, and Brady's just like long-term revenge.
He's like, one day I'll find the team that you land on.
I'll
and
buy it.
because all teams will give a minority stake to Brady. What the fuck do they care? Like we should talk about this just because
It's like when the
interesting.
Nets sold like 0.5% to Jay-Z just so they could have the name.
Yeah, it's marketing at this point, and then Jay-Z gets to say I'm part owner,
Yep.
but who gives a fuck? It's 0.5%, and
But I mean, it carries clout because if you're a free agent, you get that like ooh la la, like the hipness.
Brady is somehow involved in this
Yep.
organization, so there's a lot of advantages to
Well,
it.
look at the Dolphins had like 19 different celebrity owners on it.
I think they still do, like Gloria
Yeah.
Estefan and all that.
Predators had this one radio goof
Gloria
as a part owner.
Esteban. You mean
Estefan.
Gloria Estefan? Esteban?
Estefan.
Estefan?
Gloria Estefan.
Gloria Esteban.
Damn it, Dan! You trampled
Stefan?
over me making fun of Tom and the Predators.
Elian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez
to?
is easier than a. There's an Esteban or Estefan.
Esteban.
Why are you saying it like that?
Esteban.
Because there's different ways to say it.
Esteban or Estefan. My
Yeah.
name is Estefan Esteban. You want to start?
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
Oh my
okay. Oh my
God.
God.
I found
He's
out someone in my lineage was named Samuel Samsel. And I'm like, who would do
I like
that?
that.
Who would do that?
All right, I'll start. Is this a beginning?
No,
Do we want to do this Wednesday too? So 12 and
Let's-
then 12?
Yeah, let's do 2 12s.
2 12s? All right.
Okay.
Wednesday 2. Here we go.
12.
Here we go in 3, 2. Welcome back to a corporate time. Guess who's on the couch, buddy?
Oh.
It's Cutter. Oh, hold on, my face.
Start with Kenny. There we go.
Hey-o.
What's wrong with my? Have you guys been messing with my megaphone?
So, no, it's just.
Have you
the-
been rubbing your genitals on my
Oh,
megaphone?
just the mouthpiece.
Ew.
It doesn't make sense to rub it on the other side.
I know it doesn't.
Well,
it doesn't.
unless you want the person receiving it to get like the
A
the
blast.
particles.
No,
No,
this
no.
is for
Yeah,
the
this
person
is for
talking
me.
to it.
It's definitely for me. I've done the math.
We
and-
receive
yeah,
it
yeah, hold
every
on.
day
Let me see. Yep.
in our ears. Me
Yeah,
and Sam.
okay, yeah, that's legit.
Yeah, and, Daniel had to leave early yesterday.
Yeah,
I told
I
Sam,
knew
I'm
it.
like, I'm gonna rub
I
my
looked at the
genitals.
cameras. I looked at the cameras.
I'm like, I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I looked at the cameras. I saw Samantha
Well, I said, just
running for
shield
the
your
door,
eyes.
and I saw Tom with his pants down like a 5-year-old. He dropped them all the way down to his ankles, and he was just like dancing back and forth,
Yeah,
like
today's the day, Sam.
like a dancing Santa Claus, a Hallmark dancing Santa Claus. Kenny Samsel from the Two Moves podcast is here, everybody.
Hey-o.
So me and Kenny were talking on Twitch, and you can listen live at twitch.tv/Tom and Dan.
Oh, thank you for plugging that.
We
I appreciate
record
that.
all the shows live,
Yeah.
out of order, crazy. But if you want to listen to them as we record Monday through Friday, it's on Twitch, and you
Yeah.
can listen to audio only once you download the
Sometimes
app.
they're mislabeled.
Yeah. But you'll get a notification in your phone like, "Hey, Tom and Dan are
Not
recording."
always, just sometimes.
But you'll click
Lots
on
of
that.
issues.
You click audio only, and then you're listening to a live show.
Yeah.
And then you're listening to it on the breaks. You get more content because
You
we
do.
talk on the breaks and like that are
You
not
get
on the
to
show.
hear Tom dad burp. You get to see me on the
Some
camera.
silence.
Yeah,
get to
you
see
get to
me
see
A little bit
doing-
of silence.
You get to see me doing yayo in the background.
You get to see me waddle to the bathroom like an authentic M word. Because my hips,
So-
I have the M word hips. I have the hips.
big ass.
I have adult onset M word hips.
So me and Kenny were talking on Twitch.
You never
about,
talk to Kenny, so this is a lie.
about the idea that somehow Tom Brady had this grudge against Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, so what's going on with Garoppolo
Okay, well,
and the Raiders and
And this is only interesting.
Old Brady.
This involves some drama, but of course, you guys remember when Garoppolo was on the New England Patriots, and then there was that rumor that Belichick liked Garoppolo, and he had some good games. Brady was injured or whatever. It may have
Yes.
been Deflategate when
yeah,
Brady
doing
had to
the
sit out.
suspensions.
And then Garoppolo's killing it, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, this is the future of the Patriots. Brady's getting old," And I think that this is only 36-year-old Brady or whatever. It was a while
That
ago.
was a great Brady.
but-
A 36-year-old Brady is a top-tier
or
Brady.
It may have been 38-year-old.
Yeah, I think it was
Who
like
knows?
2015 or so.
Okay, so but but at that time in quarterback years, everybody's like, "Oh, this is the," and it seemingly internally maybe he had a conversation with old Bob Kraft. Old
Old Massage.
H.J. Kraft.
Old Massage Kraft.
I love that happened, by the way.
Me too.
It just
I
knocks
love
it
that he
down.
had, I love
It's
that he
like,
had. You know what?
no amount of money matters that happened.
You
we
know
all
what's
know.
funny is that sometime during that day he stood in a dimly lit strip mall in a
Billionaire.
horrible building with black mold in it.
Tom Brady's boss.
With Tom Brady's boss, with his and I know because he's a small man, with his dress shirt being longer than his genitals and his little winky poking through the dress shirt.
Yeah, acorn.
As he was, the acorn poking through the dress shirt.
Yeah.
Right in front of the
Bill
Asian
Belichick's
my
boss!
God, in front of the Asian massage, and he's standing there.
Anyway.
He's standing there,
Do you think
hat in
He
hand.
put the money in his loafer.
No, he didn't do that. He was a regular.
Yeah,
She
he's
knew
got an
it was.
account.
He paid online.
And so
It was already all taken care of. He just had to show up and drop his pants.
Anyway, they seemingly traded Garoppolo to the 49ers for like a third round draft pick or something. Everybody thought it was like, you didn't get that much. It looked like the rumor was Brady was mad that everybody was talking that Garoppolo was the next to take his place, and then he wanted Brady or Garoppolo out of there, and they traded Garoppolo out of it.
Okay.
So
the rumor was that he went directly to Kraft instead of talking to Belichick about it because he knew Belichick.
Never go full Kraft.
Yeah.
According to every report, Belichick and Brady, like they went out to dinner, I think, one time in the 15 years that he played.
It was a get-to-work business relationship.
Yeah,
I like that. It was no niceties, no friendship, just quarterback
Is
coach.
Sam your Brady?
That's
Is
what.
Sam your Brady? Is that why you're always so get-to-work
Well,
around
I'm
her?
not Belichick though, or Brady.
Who are you in this scenario?
You're like you're Mark Duper.
You're the Sheik.
You're the Sheik. We forgot
Back to Sheik.
We forgot to circle back to the Sheik. Do you know where we can get authentic Middle Eastern clothing that wouldn't make him look like he's being racist?
Oh, the chat's saying you're Kraft.
I'm more of a Jeff Saturday inside
means.
NFL the coach.
You do have good hair.
He was
and
the coach
Saturday's
of the
got,
Colts.
Man,
Anyway.
Jeff Saturday's got great hair.
So he's just a bumbling fool that they just threw up there. But anyway, so now Garoppolo went to 49ers, and then now he's at least he was set to play as the quarterback.
Yeah,
for
I don't know their story.
the
That's why
Vegas.
I'm laughing and asking both of you because I thought
Vegas
he was all
Raiders.
good to go on the Vegas Raiders.
No, well,
did he get injured?
Well, there's now,
He's always injured, and it's
Yeah.
one of those where he was the reason the Niners had a great season, but
They
then
did.
he got injured, and they went to Brock Purdy, and it was just like, man, Garoppolo's always injured all the time. So they ended up he was with the Raiders now, but he had surgery, and that's going to delay him returning to the Raiders. And Tom and I were joking, and I was like, what if this hypothetical scenario of Tom Brady, now that he's no longer playing, like has had this long-term grudge hating on Garoppolo.
And then now he's going to get him fired again one last time because no one's ever going to sign Garoppolo again, especially after this current injury.
Why
like, is
wouldn't
done.
Brady just become the old Tree Rollins player owner
Well, okay, so that's also a rumor.
and
Yeah.
slide in there?
There's a rumor
'Cause
that
nobody's done that.
No, yeah, but that ain't going to happen.
It's not, but there's a rumor that he intentionally purchased the stake in the Raiders because they need a quarterback, and he could always just suit up one last time.
He's like, well, I'm here.
He destroyed Mr. Beast's drone, like on that boat.
Yeah. Have you seen that video
What
recently?
the hell are you guys watching on TV?
Brady and Mr. Beast are hanging out, and then
Oh
they're
my
flying
God.
drones, and Brady's trying to hit him out of the air with a football. By the way,
First time.
I love. Yeah. He knocked it
He
with
still got it.
with a rope, a frozen rope. He hit him, and it was far too. It wasn't even close.
He
Like,
still got it.
he
Put him in.
knocked
Put him
that-
in.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm all for it,
He can
man.
old man throw a football. He just can't move in the pocket. He's done.
Doesn't matter. Just
he's
pay the
done.
money, get him the line, put him in.
By the way, I love how billionaires, millionaire, multi-millionaire are doing the same thing 13-year-old boys are doing, which is, hey, can you hit my drone out of the sky with the football?
That's exactly.
And
The
Tom
funny
Brady
thing
and
about
Mr.
drones is as soon as you get the drone in the sky, you immediately think, and it must be animalistic, you're like, I have to knock this out of the sky.
And Brady's happy to do it. He's like, oh yeah, like
Well, let me
we're
say this.
all children.
In Mr.
At
Beast's
least men
defense,
are.
Mr. Beast is what, only like 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
So like he's pretty immature.
I don't call him Mr. Beast anymore. I call him Jimmy.
Brady's
His
kids
real
were
name.
Yeah, I call him Jimmy.
I
Let's
call
start.
Carlos Mencia and Ned.
Yeah,
you know?
let's start calling
Everyone by their
people
real
we don't
names.
understand by their real names. Ned, Jimmy. So Jimmy, yes.
Yes, but Tom Brady's kids were on the boat as well. So I think that was the connection as to why they
Yeah.
were hanging out.
They want to hang out
Yeah.
with Mr. Beast.
Correct.
As
Who
in,
doesn't?
Tom Brady makes it called his agent. His agent calls Mr. Beast's agent, and they like.
And Tom Brady wants to look like the cool dad and just be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, I'm gonna hang out with Mr.
That's
Beast."
what you
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
I'm really hoping Maisie dodges the Mr. Beast. She knows who he is, but she doesn't watch. So I'm hoping we just ride right over it.
See, I don't like and I say new class, but like
Oh,
Brady's not
your
a new
Beast for
class.
life? Are you-
No.
oh.
I'm talking about I like my quarterbacks old, grizzled, and horny, like Dan Marino
Yes.
or Troy Aikman.
Even
Brett
Terry
Favre.
Bradshaw.
Brett Favre.
Even Terry Bradshaw. I need
Stealing
some
welfare
good, I
money.
need some good psychological problems.
Yeah.
in there.
I want a
Joe Namath, I'm gonna kiss you.
I want a horny CTE crazy old grizzled quarterback Like even Troy Aikman is Grizzle. He's like, like he'll say some off-color comments.
They
like,
also
he should be wearing a dress. He plays so bad, and then he
Also-
gets a bunch of stuff. He's like, it's a dumb old man.
I don't trust quarterbacks that don't. I like them when they're so large that certain parts of their body look deformed, like Troy Aikman.
Oh, yeah.
His mouth is deformed. You know,
Yeah,
like John Elway.
Peyton Manning's got like the
they've
giant
they're-
forehead.
Yeah, they're like altered in some way.
I mean, who knows what like advanced technology, performance-enhancing drugs that they were pumping in them in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, because think about how big the NFL is now compared to the 90s. Like, it was not. Teams were like 100 million. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in comparison,
So-
we're talking about the smallest amount a team is worth now is 4.5 billion.
Yeah, they're
you know,
huge.
compared to 100 million at one point. Like,
Did you guys
it's so
talk
big.
Did you guys talk about the John Elway ownership thing?
Yeah,
So
yeah. About he could have
the
been.
story
a
could have been
billionaire
that
now.
that he could have owned a purchase for it, but okay, and I know we're getting close on time. Is you guys talking about the mascot before or after
Yeah.
this segment?
That will be after. That'll be
We don't
tomorrow.
know, Kenny.
Tell us in the
we look
future.
like we
Well
know.
then, let me just say, every team's different, but some mascots are actually independent contractors. So, for example, there might be a local team whose mascot is actually owned by the person in it, but it's an exclusive lease and exclusive contract with the team.
It's Claw from the Orlando Predators.
So,
I know him.
when you're talking
Alan
about
Alan
like,
Duckworth. Yeah.
when you're talking about like getting injured and stuff, some teams you're under the team's health care and under the team's insurance, and other ones, no, you're an independent contractor.
Sorry.
This is your whatever.
But my prostate. Sorry,
so
Claw.
in the case of Conor McGregor, it actually was reported by Reuters and ABC News and stuff. The guy in there legit did go to the hospital because what ended up happening, it wasn't the punch, it was when he fell backwards and he hit his
He hit
head,
his head.
on
Stupid
the court.
mascot.
So
You know how to fall backwards.
so it was one of those where the Heat, out of fear that they're going to get sued, we're like, go to the hospital. You better go to the hospital.
Yeah,
so that's why there's really nothing. There was no injury. There was no whatever. He got pain meds, and that was the
he
report.
bonked his head, and they sent him to the hospital over precaution.
Yeah, out of fear. So that's it. But technically, it's not that, and I'm sure Mo can say you can sue over anything, but it's one of those where if you're an independent contractor in one of those sort of scenarios, you can't really sue the team because you're volunteering to do these things.
You know what I
It's
want to
harder.
know?
You don't work for because then you're taking out workman's comp and all the stuff
Correct.
that usually protects employees. Like,
But
wanna
you get the
know-
ability to sell the right. Like, let's say during the off season, you can sell the rights to the likeness to like corporate companies and stuff, and you get to keep all that, and that doesn't go to the team.
wow.
but I don't think when you're talking NBA and when you get into major league sports, I don't think there's any independent contractor.
That's exactly what I was
mascot.
talking about, Tom.
Well, no, I was saying the small, but I was saying this guy.
No, in Major League Sports, I'm telling you, some of these mascots are independent contractors.
Are you sure? Because I feel like at a certain point, like they
So-
buy him out. They're like,
The
get
guy
out of
that
here,
works
Of the-
Gruffy.
of-
We're gonna
of-
get someone else.
Of the 4 people in here who has worked for a franchise
I trust Tom.
full time, I do trust him.
well,
He knows.
How are you
Tom-
able to get the guy that just told you were wrong to say that he trusts you? That's
listen,
so
can he
which
make me
one?
right?
Can you say
No.
which ones are
This is some
independent? Do you
kind of
know
Stockholm syndrome
No.
thing.
which ones are independent?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And in the NBA, there are a good number where the team owns it, and there are a good number where they're technically independent contractors with exclusive rights.
Do they have to
the
pass it in front of the team? Okay, let's say I own it and I've
Correct.
got the exclusive rights, and let's just say for argument's sake, I'm the mediocre tar for Tom and
Yeah.
Dan, right?
You can't just go to the AVN Awards and be like,
Right.
I'm representing
because
the team.
the team is going to
Correct.
say, "Hey, we want you to make money with this, but that's unbecoming of what
Correct.
we
Yeah.
do."
The
So-
team
okay,
has
there's my question.
overarching veto power, but
Right.
they don't take any of your money.
So if
you,
I want to go out to Hertz Rent a Car and do
Correct.
a grand opening as the mediocre tar, it's fine. But let's say I wanted to do like
For a team, you
like
could.
True Leave, and they're like, we're not doing the medical marijuana thing. And
Correct.
they're like, okay, so you don't get to do that.
and really, you can even do like birthday parties and stuff. They just don't because obviously the cost is stupidly high. But
right.
crazy rich Middle Eastern sheik could technically pay
Oh, the
for.
sheik.
Back to Chic.
The Sheik could
It all
buy
comes
it
back.
for his sons could have Stuff the Magic
you know,
Dragon.
You know. Speaking of like birthday parties and what the Miami Heat announcer, the local guy that just announced the team, like a friend of mine, Lucy,
Yeah.
they hired that guy to announce
Oh, no
them
way.
at when
cool.
like as the wedding couple. Like,
that's cool.
They paid his fee. It was like, whatever it was, $500 or whatever it is. Just, I mean, all he did is come out and then, like, ladies and
cool,
gentlemen, and he announces the couple, and then everybody's like, oh, the heat announcers announcing, and then he
They're
gets a
playing the
$500
music. Yeah.
$500 check, and he goes and drives home with an easy $500.
Not
Oh,
bad.
yeah, they can do that as well.
I know how mad Brett Bushy was that Claw owned his own rights, and he kept yelling at me that he was going to replace it with someone else that he owned so he could make all the money. And I just imagine that's how all owners think. It was just like, replace this Fluffy and just get someone that looks like him,
It is
and
funny
we'll own
because
it.
I was privy to a
That's
few
what I'd
of
scream.
those conversations, and he was dead serious about it. It was
Sometimes the mascot
very
brand though is bigger than the owner because God forbid, like let's say the
yeah.
Philly Fanatic, the owner. I don't know.
Yeah.
Baseball, I
You
don't
can't
know.
get rid of it.
I would say
But-
Philly Fanatic's your top tier baseball.
Exactly. But in that scenario,
Guy.
let's say Philly Fanatic was an independent contractor and the Phillies owner wanted to control it, that would cause a riot from fans. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah. He
I
got too
don't-
big, yeah.
I don't know baseball, but that potentially could be the
Yeah,
scenario.
stuff's
in the
pretty
NBA.
big too. I
Alright.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
like, he's a big mascot.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll do some more talking with Kenny when we
Is that what
return.
this segment's
Yes,
called?
it
I
is.
like. Okay. All right,
All right.
talking with Kenny.
Maybe too long, but we'll figure it out.
Usually, if it's we put in a couple of buffer. Where's this go, Sam?
Wednesday 2.
We can make this one
Yeah,
short.
you're right, because when they didn't care about mascots, and then the ones that got in, that it was like, yeah, whatever, let this guy
Yeah.
do whatever, and then they got big, and then they couldn't do anything about it.
That's-
I mean, any new team is going to
Cor-
own
well,
all this shit.
or
yeah.
new mascots, so that like when the Steelers like had Steely McBeam, like the brand, yeah,
Yeah.
and the 49ers had like,
Steely McBean.
yeah, the 49ers had Sourdough Sam, like they're owned by the team. now.
Sourdough Sam. That's a delicious one.
Yeah, like they're gonna be owned, but a lot of the legacy ones are independently
Yeah.
run.
God.
And it sells from person to person. So as soon as the current mascot is done, he can just sell it to the next person.
Yeah, because he owns the likeness, the brand.
He owns the
of
licensing essentially,
Yeah,
not and legally the rights. But you're right, he couldn't just do whatever they wanted.
The Fanatic's pretty rad. He's like a heritage one. I like Blooper for the Braves, but I'm a Braves fan.
The one that's weird, and I don't know how I feel about it, are like the mascot for one of the mascots for the Washington Wizards. It's just a dude in a blue suit, like it's one of those like spandex blue man suits, and he just dunks.
Oh, right.
And I'm just like, not really a mascot. It's
Plus,
just
anybody that
blue
wears
suit
those,
with a jersey.
if you're a teen, if you're an old man, I can see your dick. If you're Jack Black, I can
well,
see your dick.
That's why I put the basketball shorts.
Yeah,
over it.
don't stop. We got to stop wearing those suits. I can see your dick. Everybody's dick.
If you're
Jack Black, Kyle
Martin
Cass,
Short.
anybody. Martin Short. I can see your dick. I don't want to see your dick. All right. Would you like to begin?
Yep.
Here we go. Although I would like to see Super Dave's dick. I'm just trying to make you laugh. 3, 2.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time. Kenny's still here. How you doing, Kenny?
Yeah, it's just locking
He
me in the
sat
studio.
out
How
for
do you
Joe Neal
feel-
and Vince Taylor.
How
Now
do
he's
you
back.
feel when he sells it like that? Kenny's still here.
Yeah,
and
it
his
sounded
voice
like you were
cracked.
disappointed.
And his voice cracked. He's like, Kenny's still here.
I think he's just like, God, why?
Yeah,
Why?
that's what it sounded like to me.
Once a month segment.
Oh, you have a problem with Kenny? Do we need
no,
to talk about this?
no, it's easy to talk to Kenny.
Okay, yeah,
So,
it is easy to talk to
here's
Kenny.
a
I feel like
weird-
I want to tell Kenny all my secrets.
Well, and here's a weird thing about the listeners.
Do you have a secret to tell
So
us?
at the no, I wish I did. The beer release party.
Yes.
Apparently, I am prone to getting kissed by every male listener
Hey.
that
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
have. Because
You gotta tell him to stop, or they won't.
like-
Trust me.
like Tully has open mouth kissed me drunk before.
Yeah,
Did
oh, yeah.
EMWP
He has a
get
problem.
you?
Yeah.
Did EMWP get you?
Yes, yeah. He gave me a kiss.
Mike B for sure.
Mike B
Yeah,
gave me a
Mike
kiss.
B.
Jason,
Mike B-
who was wearing
Mike
all
B-
the
Jason,
semantic
yeah.
stuff.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a beer release for me. It was a Mike B kissing booth.
Yeah.
When I was there,
My
I kissed.
God.
I think I kissed Mike B 75 times.
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
all the females were very respectful. Every guy would
Yeah.
come up and
I
straight
didn't
up kiss
kiss
me.
one woman, and my wife and child were there, and they're
And-
both women.
Every single time a guy kissed me or gave me a hug, they wanted to compliment me on my smell. They're like, "Man, you smell
You
great."
did smell good.
And I'm sitting and I'm like, what is it about me where every male listener just wants to
You smell good.
to get all up on me?
You know,
Yeah,
you know, you have no smell, Tom. You're the absence of. There's none.
Okay.
You're like void of smell. It's like standing on the sun or Mars or something. It's like there's no smell.
My feet will tell you different.
I was gonna say I don't know if I'd agree.
Every time
but
Sam will get 3 feet from my feet, she's like, "Oh
3
God!"
feet from my
he
feet.
makes me kiss his feet every morning.
There's been two. Well, she was putting the high heels on me one time, and then another time.
that was rough.
Why do you even do that stuff?
I don't
We're
know.
just trying to help out.
How much
Very
money
good.
for you to kiss his feet fresh out the
No,
sandal hot?
come on.
How much?
Out the sandal?
Fresh out the sandal, like pulled it out.
It's
put
worth
it
it.
Just
up.
a peck?
It's better in the
No,
sandals.
you have to
air out.
hold your lips on it. I'm talking
How
like we're
long?
doing like Fear Factor, Jackass style. I'll do it on the mic. Where you have to go and you're like on it. 1, 2, 3.
See, I would think, or
Three
what?
hundo.
Mississippi. 3 hundo.
A hundo of Mississippi.
Okay, all right. I think that's about right.
Daniel will pay that one day.
I will absolutely.
Yeah.
I think here's a theory. So Tom has said that he doesn't wash his legs and he just lets the soap drip down. So his top half smells great. His bottom half doesn't smell great.
Untouched.
I don't even know if that's true.
His bottom
that
half
he
is
washes his
untouched.
top half.
Well, I was gonna say it negates to where he has no smell.
You wash your pets.
I didn't shower yesterday.
Hey, all right.
But that was because I was in the pool all
He's
day.
always in the pool.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
So
true.
I feel like I got out of the pool and then I'm like, this is fine, right? Like,
It's
I
a
don't-
fine. Why do you say like a baby?
It's like I can just I'll shower tomorrow.
clean, Crystal.
Anyway, so how's it going, Kenny? What you been up to?
Yeah, what have you been doing?
Yeah, I'm
dude?
doing pretty well. You talked Weird Job Wednesday to the person who talked about corporate events on the hotel side, which is funny because I think I'm pretty sure I've worked with them before.
Okay.
But in the spirit of corporate waste, I did an event at Universal Studios, City Walk and Islands of Adventure, but it was a pharmaceutical company, and they basically bought out Islands of Adventure just for like 200 people, like their employees,
Oh, wow.
to go to the Harry Potter section and it was after hours. It was just them. They bought every single one of them wands. So as they were coming in, they got to choose whatever
what company
wand
was this?
they want.
Wow. I mean,
Big pharma.
Do you have an idea?
I mean, those wands are like one.
Are the walls green?
Aren't those wands like $1.70 a
It was
pop? Aren't they?
Yeah, well, yeah. I
Like
think
Sabrina from the News Junkie, she gifted my daughter
Yeah.
one of the electric wands. The one that does all the stuff.
Oh, it's the official one.
The
And
official one.
These
We
were
have yet
official
to go
ones.
use it. Apparently, this wand that Maisie was gifted by Sabrina, you can go to Universal and wave it around, and it'll do stuff in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will trigger things, and they were giving
It's
one away
interactive.
free, and they had it just piled up. You can get the Harry one, or the Hermione one, or the whatever. You can pick your character's one.
Hermione.
And if there's 200 people at, let's say, $150 a pop, like that's just wands that they purchased.
Could you take two?
I don't know.
Do you think anybody slipped one
Oh, for sure.
in there?
Someone did.
They took one and then got back in line with a fake mustache and got another one.
I'm a big fan of.
mean-
I'm a big fan of when people go, well, I'm getting one for my friend. He's not here right now, but I'm taking
Yeah,
it to.
he
I
couldn't
like
make it.
Yeah,
What do you even have to pay to rent the entire park
Oh,
out?
that's what's even insane. It started in City
Someone
Walk.
knows that in our listening audience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
S-
I
like-
was just
What
there
about
for
Mike Aiello? Would he know?
probably.
Absolutely would know.
We
yeah.
need to talk to Mike.
So
don't
I
know.
was
Maybe
there-
he
Gotta
can't
get him
tell
in
us.
here.
He can't. I don't know if he could tell us.
You could tell me like a
He
toll
knows.
road
He
with
knows
a beer.
all the secrets.
I'll tell him.
Oh,
I'll
you
like
got to
that.
get him liquored up on a couple of
Yeah.
sweet toll roads.
I
You got to
won't-
give him a couple of creamy mics.
I won't say the number, but I'll insinuate the number, and people get close enough.
I mean,
Well-
it's not. Sometimes they buy it out during hours, right?
See, that can
And that's
probably
even more
be even
expensive.
insane. They started with a pre-party on City Walk where it was like unlimited food, live music, but just and it wasn't even in one of the
Stilt
clubs.
walker.
it
That's
was
how
like
you know
on the
you're at a
actual City
good
Walk.
time. Stilt walkers.
Yeah.
If a
What are
stilt
you going to
walker-
rent out for us, Tom?
I've
Well,
been
for a
wanting to
company
do
day.
that.
What does
I've
all
been
this
wanting
do?
to do a company thing, but he always nixes it. I've been wanting to do
Do
the
something
Ruth's.
fun.
Been wanting to do a Ruth's
Right.
Chris.
So
I've been wanting to do like a
Yeah, you
I
can
don't
get
know,
a back
Elevate
room.
Fun. We could do Elevate, but this guy, he's like, no, we don't need to do it.
So
Just
to
get to
answer
work.
Tom's question, what does it do? One, it was part of a full conference, so it was one of those, hey, we're rewarding our staff. They earned the right to be here for whatever reason.
Uh-huh.
But I think there's a fine line between if you didn't do anything, then people would be like, man, this is just some podunk company. I don't want to work here. They clearly, one, don't care about the employees, and two, they can't even spring for like nice table linens or something. And then it's like, oh, if it's nice, then you get the impression of, okay, this is a legit company. I'm proud to be here because they're spending the money.
If you're
on
giving
this.
out a mountain of wands, I'd like you could have just cut me a check for $300 and told me to stay home.
Well, there's people that like experiences over.
I used to say
things.
that to Clear Channel all the time. Like, we used to get bonuses, and then the bonuses got whittled down, and then they got whittled down, and then eventually they became a ham or a turkey at Christmas. Yeah, and I was like, just give me $30. I don't need the.
But you're also there's a element of there's a budget for this, and then the people in charge of the budget get something out of putting this together, and then the owners are like, we're giving this, so the extra $300 with taxes taken out and everybody's paycheck is not as good of a feeling for the owner. It's all about. Like,
well, you have to think about it too.
Or like the CEO being like, "We gifted this," and like their kids
what
are
we
there.
Did for you.
They're there. Their kids are there. Like, it's all, but you're doing something you want to do it. Like, they may be there's a lot of, and
I'm giving you a ham.
I think it is a fine line, because it's one thing that's like, hey, we go into a conference room, they just have like some crappy, stinky pop-up projector and like, a dimly lit, projector. Okay, this is going to look like trash, and what are you doing? What are we doing here? But then there's the complete opposite end that makes it look like the Academy Awards, and you're like, okay, well, that's not doing anything. Like, you could have just done a nice stage and a nice set of, screens and graphics and stuff.
You got to shoot for the middle.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that would have been great, but
What about a Christmas card that was signed in the bathroom?
Okay, I like that.
When you're
on the urinal too.
If you're a
pee sprinkles on the card.
I don't think it got sprinkled, but it definitely got the you know how, like, when you flush, well, you wouldn't know because you don't use urinals, but you flush and a little bit of water leaks down.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know what you're going to say, Tom, but I think it's also, you have to look at like the love languages, and there are people.
Oh, he doesn't understand any love languages.
True. Instead of getting $300 cash, if you gave me $300 wand, you'd be like, wow, that means more to me because you spent the time to actively like purchase this.
No kitty wand means more than $300 to me. I mean,
I'm an adult, Kitty.
Yeah,
I don't
love Harry Potter too. I had to apologize to every.
I don't want that garbage.
Kenny,
I don't want to even go to the park.
Kenny, do you know how mad it makes me that I have hated on Harry Potter for 27 years of broadcasting? I have just straight crapped all over it, and I played that dumb Hogwarts game, and it turned me around, and I love it.
All in?
I'm all in.
What is funny
But
is,
I still want the $300. I don't want the wand. Give me the money.
Toy.
Give me the money.
This private event, adults only. It was only the people that attended the conference.
Give
it
me the
wasn't
money.
even families
No,
or kids.
you can take your wand and shove it.
The one benefit about that, so the reason I was there is they wanted a video production to like kind of incentivize people to.
We need to make this more real life. We need some perverts in here.
But it's like, hey, come to the conference next year. Look at the cool things you can do at these conferences. And so that's the reason I was there.
Oh, so you're making the reel for next year.
Correct. Now, one of the cool benefits was they did lock it off, and I wasn't even operating the camera. I'm just there as a producer, so they're grossly overpaying me. The camera guy is actually getting all the footage. I'm riding the roller coasters. It's just a free trip to Universal for me.
Exactly.
So
Fantastic,
I'm just
Kenny.
riding like Hagrid's motorbike
Kenny,
roller
this is
coaster.
awesome.
I'm eating the free food. Like, the client loves me, so they're like, oh yeah, just all the booze, all the alcohol.
Butterfly shrimp, you're.
You know what?
It's fantastic.
I feel like this phenomenon happens with everything in life, and then people are confused about it, and like, so everything's relative, right? So when you're talking about this pharmaceutical company, they made $400 million profit off fentanyl this year or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like the amount of
they
money
have throwaway money,
is so insane that when you're talking about a day where you rent it out Universal at night, you gave all these free wands or whatever, like, okay, it cost them $250K or whatever it is, the $400K. It's essentially like relative to us dropping a couple $100 on our studio lizard, where it's like it's like we just a couple $100.
A heat lamp for $75. That's $250,000.
Yeah, and then we're like, well, and some people underneath us could be like, oh, you're wasting $200 on a studio lizard. That's insane. And we're thinking that on this pharmaceutical company with it's all relative to how much money they have.
You also have to think about it too. So let's say they spend $250 on, or $250,000. That's only for the people who earned it and attended the conference. And I think the mentality is, hey, if we make this an event and make this a thing, that's going to be easier to swallow for other employees who weren't there, as opposed to, oh, we're just going to take these 200 people and just give them money. And then other employees can be like, well, why do they get money? I work just as hard, or, you know, whatever. But now they're making it a tangible goal of,
okay, that makes sense.
These employees did these things. They now get a trip to
You're
Orlando,
there,
a
and
trip
you get
to
the
this.
one.
But if they just gave them the cash equivalent, then the other employees are like, well, I work just as hard. How come I don't get these things? Well, you get your own stuff. You know what I mean? That's how they're able to
and it's
justify it.
It's an internal marketing thing. They use it for motivation. They'll. I'm sure they had a videographer out there. Kenny's out there with a drone filming, you know, whatever. Like and then they'll use that for internal marketing purposes or external, or like even. So there's a lot more to just like, oh, it's just about. It's more than that. They're like, these people are shrewd business people. Like, you know, they're like, how can we get the most value out of $250,000?
Right.
Well, it's not just giving all employees, $300. It's doing this grandiose thing that we could film.
We have to do
we rented out Universal, gave everybody a Hogwarts thing.
You have to think
it's
about
the process, right? You have to go through with it.
And you have to think about it. Like, let's say there's, accounting guy X, and you give him the $1,000. What is he going to do with it? Just keep the 1,000 or spend it or whatever. But if you send him on a trip to Orlando and he has a fun time, he's going to go back home and be like, man, this company sent me to Orlando. I had a fun time. Man, thanks, company. Like, I now have these experiences and thoughts and memories and stuff.
It could help recruiting because people are like, oh, that company I could win a free trip to
Never
Universal.
happen to us again.
So there's all this value.
We're so far from that culture now. Never happen again.
Anytime like giant companies up there, I'm talking about real big, and it comes down from the top. Like I'm talking local. You're like, oh, this giant billion-dollar corporation made the decision. You're like, no, the local manager made the decision. The CEO is making brilliant business decisions. You know what I'm saying, for the most part, because that's how it got there. So it's like when it comes from the top, guess what? They're smart business people.
Yeah,
and and whatever seems dumb is probably a smart.
Yeah, well, they had a bunch of eyes on it. That's what I think. Hey, man, good seeing you.
Great to be here.
Plug your podcast,
yeah,
please.
Two Moves, TOOMOOFS. I got booed heavily for putting that on my answer sheet at trivia.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we started that
people to boo you. And I called you a pervert a bunch of times.
Yeah. But that's how you get the people to like you.
What's funny, I was there with a bunch of friends who they don't know Tom and Dan too much, and they were like, why is everyone booing you? It's like, why are they calling
why
you
did that M word call you a pervert?
like multiple
Maybe
times?
that's why everybody was kissing you. They thought you were a pervert.
See, the key to a good cult
you
is you got to separate the members from their families. Because you can't let them.
You got to cut out.
Once you cut them out,
I'm going to ask you nicely.
You know where to go.
I'm just going to ask you nicely. You can never hang out with those people ever. You can only hang out with them.
They bring you down,
Okay.
Kenny.
Yeah. People are like
Stick with us.
elevators. They either take you up or they bring you down, and those people are bad elevators.
I talked to Curtis Earth, got a better score than EJ.
Well, EJ left after the first round.
Exactly. It was too much work.
Listen,
standing there.
After round one, better score than EJ.
Oh, take that, EJ.
Two Moves podcast. Find it, listen to it. Kenny's good. All right, we will see you tomorrow.
Kenny's good.
He's good.
That's funny. Good job, buddy.
I guess we'll do lunch now.
Yeah, it's easy to talk to you, Kenny.
Man,
That was 4.
Yes.
end of the segment, my hair ended up looking like one of those coaches that's been running up and down the sideline.
Is it? Well,
See, you